Here is my latest journal that I wanted to share with you guys, and this one is actually what you would call a trashy junk journal or a junky junk journal. It is made with all trash or junk items that I've salvaged from the garbage or things from the recycling bin in our house, things that people were throwing away. It is a one signature book, and it does measure 8.5 by 5.5, and I created this journal for my dad. He is one of those, I think, maybe a king of recycling, or he does a lot of repurposing of things that he has found in the trash. He actually does a lot of like what I would call dumpster diving, not necessarily jumping into the dumpster, but peeking in dumpsters and seeing what he can find. Oftentimes he will grab stuff out of dumpsters and then bring them to the thrift store because he feels that they are good items that people are throwing away, and they're just too lazy to take them to the thrift store. But my dad does like to putter, and he has a garage, and so he's constantly taking notes on scrap papers and different things. So I thought maybe I would create him a journal out of junk so that he could keep notes in his garage for different things. So that's what I created this for. And he just had a birthday, so I gave it to him kind of for his birthday. And so to begin with, my closure here on the journal, and it can go this way or you can put it down the long way. It has this, and it has this little sliding mechanism right here. And this came from, my husband had a pair of sunglasses that he bought. And so you can hook the ends of the sunglasses in the ends of this. And so it was meant to be kind of a little neck thing for holding your sunglasses, but he didn't want it. And so he was going to throw it in the garbage. And I said, I'll take it because I think I can use it as a closure on a journal. And so for the last maybe 6 months or so, I've been holding on to things like this in a box, thinking I would create a journal for my dad. And so on the cover of the journal, I did choose to use an image that came off of an ad. For the people here in the U.S., you've probably heard of a sporting store called Cabela's. And so this came off of one of their ads. It was like a postcard type ad, and it's two guys fishing. So I just chose to use that as my cover. Behind here you can see a paint chip, and this was just a paint chip that I had picked up when I was trying to figure out what color I wanted to paint a wall in one of my rooms. And so I used that behind here. On the spine, I did cover it with, with like packaging, like an envelope. I had received this in some Happy Mail, this pretty blue bubble wrap, and so I just cut it up and used it for my spine. And then this background piece right here, this dark navy blue piece, is actually from some junk mail. It was from a credit card company, which you'll probably see that is from Capital One credit card company. They had sent some information to us in the mail, and so and it was nice thick quality. It's thicker than like 110-pound cardstock, but it almost feels like a file folder in some ways. So I just repurposed it. It already had some sort of pocket in it. I think what I ended up doing is just cutting it a little bit shorter somehow. Here is some like stationery paper. We went to a wedding last year, and this came from a hotel called Noble House. So it's just some paper that I threw in there for him, for my dad. And recently my husband purchased he does wildlife photography, and we purchased some of his pictures on metal frames. And they were packaged by someone by the name Robert, and that's actually my dad's name. So I just cut off a small thing that was on the bottom of here, but I just put it in there because I thought it was cute because it had my dad's name on it. This first piece of paper is actually pink cardstock, and there's a story behind this. About 20 years ago, my dad rescued a couple reams of this pink paper from the garbage can that were being thrown out, and so he gave me, and this was right when I first started rubber stamping and card making, and I was in college and I didn't have a lot of money, but he gave me like, it must have been like 1,000 sheets of this pink paper, and now I'm down to like 2 or 3 sheets. And so I decided I better put a sheet of that paper in here just because he did rescue it from the dumpster from someone throwing it out, believe it or not. My cousin also used some of it, I think, in her wedding invitations when she got married. I gave her a whole bunch of paper because she was wanting to make her own invitations. So I've used that pink paper for a lot of things, but like I said, I'm down now to the last couple sheets, and so I figured I had to put that in there. Again, another paint chip, and so I just did a star punch. Just some this was from the wedding invitation that we had from where we stayed, but I figured the back side's really nice that you can still write on it. It's really nice paper, actually. High linen quality paper, but he can write on the back side of that. And then same with this too, was a little from a hotel. A door hanger. Again, you can use the back side to write on it. If I was doing a nicer journal, I do use junk like this in my journals. Like normally, if my other journals, I would have just chosen to put another piece of like nice scrapbooking paper or maybe a photograph over on this side. But since it was for my dad and I wanted to make it a true trash journal, I just left it all looking kind of like junk and stuff from the recycling bin. So I have this, and these two things are actually cardstock or scrapbooking paper that I rescued out of my my trash. I had thrown them away. They were on a card and I somehow screwed up on it, so I took it apart and just used the pieces that I could to make that belly band. And it's kind of tight, I guess. But I did that. This is from an actual like card that someone had sent me, and so I just cut it out and used it as a tuck spot. And again, this came from some scrapbooking, like the cover of a scrapbooking paper pad, and so I just cut it up so that my dad could use the back side of it to write on. And again, some more of that wedding invitation from when my cousins got married. Again, it's really nice paper, so I figured that my dad could write on the back side of that. Here's an envelope from some bills that we got in the mail, and I didn't, I probably paid it online or paid ahead, so I didn't need to use it, but you can see where the stamp is, and so it's kind of fun when you have the little windows on there. And so on the inside of here, I just have a whole bunch of this type of paper, and quite a while ago I saved this. I've been saving that paper, and I actually do use it because it's some nice looking craft paper. But it came from the inside of some frames that my husband and I bought for our house. And I had this tree in the middle of it, and then, you know, they were big, like 8 by 10, 11 by 14 type frames. And so I just cut them into small squares, small pieces. These ones I folded in half. But I did use this little tree to decorate. And all the little pieces are just using for little places to write on. But again, most people would probably have thrown those in the recycling bin. But I've been saving them, and I've been using them every now and again on different projects. So again here, this is kind of an interesting piece, and I have maybe one more piece of this. My dad, again, had rescued, it's a big circle, and I don't know what it was used for, measuring electricity or something weird like that from a long time ago. But he had a whole huge box that he found, again, from the garbage, and he gave it to me back when I was doing more like mixed media collage stuff with paper. And so I still have a couple of them left, but I did use it to create a little pocket there. And then this graph paper, one of the buildings where my dad worked from, the architects up above him were actually retiring. So they threw out all of their little paper pads, and it had their logo on the other end of the graph paper. But I do use that every once in a while in some of my junk journals. So I did throw that in there because, again, my dad had saved that, and I just thought that was kind of interesting. Our local thrift store sometimes has a freebie pile, and in that pile they had this ledger paper. Some of it was used. I don't know if I stuck one in here that was somewhat used or not, but I tore it out of that book because it was free. And I've been told at that table that if people don't take the stuff that's off of that table, they just throw it in the garbage. So that's where that ledger paper came from. Again, just some sort of packaging material that I threw in. Again, a lot of the craft items that I buy, like this was from Recognitions. It had some sort of floral embellishments on it. But it's a nice little, you know, you can write on this side and on this side. Sometimes some of these packagings that you buy have really nice floral backgrounds, and then you can actually cut them out and make tags and stuff, but I just stuck that in there. Again, a piece of craft or scrapbooking paper that I rescued from my garbage and just made into a pocket. A paper bag from something we bought. I put more of that craft paper in here, just that came from those photo frames for my dad to have paper to write on. I did stamp up there in the corner with one of my stamps that was sitting on my desk, and I also created a pocket down here. Here's a fall card that I got in the mail, and so I just added it here and I glued it down so that you can flip it down and you can write here or up here. This was a file folder that I just cut off part of the name on it. On this back side, I thought this was kind of neat, in some sort of packaging for something that I got for my craft supplies. It might have even been some tags or something you bought, but they already had these little things punched out right here, so I made it into kind of a tuck spots for my dad. Again, out of some sort of packaging, I punched these tags out with my punch. I think this came out of a piece of luggage or a purse, 9 West purse or something, and so I just stuck that in there in case he needed to write down someone's name or address. Some more packaging from something. Some more graph paper. I think my sister was throwing this out in her house and my dad took it out of the garbage just to use as scrap paper, but so I added that in there. This little glassine bag was given, I gotten some Happy Mail from someone, and so I just reused it here in the junk journal. More of that ledger paper, some more of those envelopes from bills. Right here is on your coffee cup, sometimes you get these that help keep so your hands don't get too hot. So one of those coffee sleeves right there. This came from an ad where I went to school. Every year they have a nice Christmas choir concert, and so this came from an ad that we got in the mail, and so I just cut it out and added it there. Again, this background piece is some sort of packaging from some crafting. It's kind of nice. It has that nice little border on the top and the bottom. And then right here, I just added a Yeti sticker. Yeti coolers here in the U.S. are big right now. And so when my husband bought one, there was some stickers that came in it. And so I just kept them and I stuck it there. More of that graph paper. Here's that big swirly electrical thing that I was talking about. It says United Electric something on it, but it's just kind of fun to add it in there. Is kind of like a doily, I guess. But again, my dad rescued that. Here's some more of that graph paper that he got from the architects that were throwing it out. More of that pink paper that came from my dad. Another part of that card. And the only thing that I did use in my journal that was store-bought or whatever was the twine that I used to attach, and of course the needle that I used to sew it, but that's the middle of the signature. I decided just to cut it short and not hang anything since it was going for my dad. This is some photo corner packaging, and so I thought that was kind of neat, so you can open it up and write in there. I actually was maybe going to use this in some other journal and then just cover up this part of it, but I decided to stick it in his. Another one of those Yeti stickers. Packaging, again, packaging from like flowers and stickers and things that I find. This was a Teresa Collins one, but like I said, you know, on this one it would have made a really cute tag. I could have punched out a tag or cut out a tag and then covered the back with some coffee dyed paper or something, but again, I wanted to keep it kind of like a true trashy junk journal for my dad, so I didn't do that. But again, you can see here was an ad from the Discover credit card company. Really pretty paper, actually. And so I had used that to create my pocket there. Some more packaging from some sort of scrapbooking thing. And then here's a Star Wars tag. It was off of a t-shirt. Last year I bought clothes for a local family in need. And so, and we were supposed to cut off the tags or whatever. So I did keep all the tags, but this was one of the tags from that. Here's a tag from K & Company. It was a paper pad that was shaped like a tag. And so I just used it in my scraps from when I sewed in my signature. I put it on the top of here. So that was a scrap left over. The back half of that glassine bag. Here's a part of that fall card, and again it just flips down and you can journal on that side if you want. Another Christmas card that I got with the birds on it that I added right here and made it into a tuck spot. Again, packaging material. More of that craft paper in the bag. Leftover stuff. Again, this one would have been fun to have cut out a tag and then back the backside with some sort of scrapbooking paper. But again, since this was a true trash journal, I just left it like that. The other half of that pocket from the beginning. Another part of that card that had the sun on it. I just made it into a little tuck there. I did stamp up at the top right there. Another tuck spot. This again was salvaged from my garbage. That pink paper I talked about, another paint sample. Again, this came from packaging. I think some of this stuff came from Michael's, the $1.50 bin. There was like wood pieces. Then the last page here, again, I have some tags in here. Again, I cut this from paper pad. You can use the back side of it. This was the cover of the paper pad. Some more packaging. And I think these come from my flat back pearl. There's a plastic sheet over this, but the back side's really nice. And I actually use these in my other journals because you can't tell that it was just packaging. The Batman tag that came off of some clothing. And some more packaging. Again, this was that Capital One. Something that they sent about their credit card in the mail. And so all these were kind of already in here. And so this one, so I just left it to create that pocket. And then I just cut it at an angle up there to create that pocket up there. And so the back side, you just see the bubble wrap on that one. So that is my trashy junk journal that I wanted to share with you guys. Hopefully you like it. And thanks so much for watching, and please don't forget to leave a comment and have a wonderful day.